What is the worst case of princess behavior you've ever seen? At previous job, me and some random girl were involved in calculating a bill. She told me, I'm a lady, I don't do math. I work at a clothing store. One night 15 minutes before closing, a group of 4 come in. I proceeded to tell them we were 15 minutes before closing. To which one of them replied, we will only take a minute. Nope, not a minute. Not even 10. They left the store 40 minutes after closing. All because the daughter, whom I presume was in her mid-20s, needed to find an outfit for a photo shoot. The entire time she was in the changing room, she would throw the items she didn't feel good in at one of my associates. When she finally decided she wasn't gonna purchase anything, she had left a whole rack of clothing, which if we were still open wouldn't have been an issue, but after 40 minutes of being closed, the other associate and I had already finished recovering the store for the night. She finished it up by complaining to her boyfriend that it was his fault she didn't like anything because he didn't compliment her in any of the items. She literally stomped out with her arms crossed and pouted. My ex found a bag online she wanted. She thought it looked gorgeous, was just the right size and would go perfect with most of her wardrobe. The only problem was the price, it wasn't expensive enough. I work at a library, and someone wanted a library card. Okay, great, just fill out this short application on this kiosk, takes only a few minutes. Simple stuff like name, address, birthday, email, etc. She didn't want to. Can we do it for her? It's too much work. Now, if someone has an actual reason to ask us to do it for them, we can enter all of that manually, no problem. But in this case, she told my coworker I don't want to do all that work, and my coworker said, I guess you don't want a library card then either. I worked with a girl who had a daughter that she had in her teens. She was dating the father and had just become pregnant again. They were both working to put themselves through college and support their children. He proposed to her and she told him no because the diamond was too small. My ex had a full-out temper tantrum that her parents sent her a Louis Vuitton handbag, worth $10,000 or so, not the luggage set. She was lying on the floor kicking and screaming. It was strange. Rich people problems, I gather? My cousin was given a brand new Mustang on her 16th birthday. She demanded that my uncle return it and get another one because she didn't like the color. So he drove 3 hours away to another dealer to get her the color she wanted. She refused to go with him because she had better things to do. None of this is surprising, because she's been catered to her entire life. However, my uncle, who is a really laid-back and funny guy, made a pit stop at a body shop and had them add Veruca Salt in big bold letters across the bottom of the windshield. She was furious and demanded they remove it, but my uncle simply told her that if she did anything to get rid of it he would sell the car and she was welcome to buy one with her own money, so she dealt with it. I was in the line waiting for the Hulk roller coaster at Island of Adventures in Florida. There were these 2 teenage girls in front of me. When they got to the front of the line, they asked to be sat in the very front row. There is a separate line dedicated for the first row and the park employee told them this. They kept showing the employee their fast passes and demanded to be sat in the very front row. The park employee sat them in the very last row instead and both the girls threw a temper tantrum. I couldn't really believe it. We were already in the fast pass line, so instead of waiting 2 hours, we only had to wait about 30 minutes. I got the idea that the girls weren't used to being told no. My sister wanted everyone in her wedding party to do a 6 a.m. yoga class on the day of her wedding. Everyone was tanked at the rehearsal dinner the night before, no one wanted to get up at 6 a.m. We all told her way ahead of time we all hated this idea. She stomped her foot about it anyway. There was puke. Just to add, she asked me to be her MOH when I was living/working in the Philippines and she was home in upstate New York. I told her I couldn't commit to the responsibility of being MOH. She said she couldn't believe I wouldn't move home for something like this. We didn't talk for 4 months. I did end up going to the wedding but as a normal guest. She still tried to make me do the yoga class. I refused. She didn't speak to me all day on her wedding day. I was okay talking to the other 300 people there. My 17-year-old coworker is a spoiled little brat. She's a cashier, and if the queue gets too long, both of us have to go until to serve. Yet instead she hides in the kitchen and leaves me to a massive queue. Oh, and every time I take my break and we're both on shift together, she hides under the ice cream machine for the entire 30 minutes rather than serve customers. She used to pull me off my break to please serve them every 2 minutes until I told her to do it yourself and she chucked a scream-crying tantrum. There was a girl in my university who wanted an on-campus job to cover her expenses. She threw a fit when the receiving department did not select her, no bias against her. She complained to the school and reported the receiving manager for being sexist and not giving the job to a girl who has never lifted anything apart from her handbag. The manager did budge and hired her. She stormed out 2 days later, calling the department unfair towards women who couldn't lift 20 pounds every day. Was dating this chick for a few months. We make plans to hang out and cook dinner at my house after work. So I text her saying I'm heading home from work and I'm gonna hop in the shower real quick. She replies that she'll start heading to my place. So I put my phone in my room and hop in the shower. Then I start prepping things for dinner. It's been an hour since she said she was on her way and she hasn't shown up, so I go back to my room and check my phone. A few missed calls and a bunch of messages from her. She had shown up to my house, stood at the front door, but because my phone is in my room I didn't hear any of her calls or texts. So she left and went back home. She didn't ring the doorbell or knock because she is a lady. Tells me she can't believe I wasted her time. A 29-year-old princess that is too good to even knock on the door of the guy she is dating. I thought it was a joke. My roommate in college got sick one time. Had a mild flu. I'm a mother hen type, so I got her to the hospital during a blizzard, got her meds and generally was taking care of her. I thought she would thank me or something, but instead she asked me if I could feed her soup. I said, I think you can handle it, and bounced as fast as I could for the next couple of days. Edit, a lot of people are focusing on the hospital thing, which wasn't my princess example. It was expecting me, someone she has known for 6 months at this point, to feed her soup because she was sick. My former friend's parents bought her a brand new Lincoln MKZ. She had this car bought and handed to her for nothing but existing, and this was the fourth-ish one that her parents purchased for her by the time she was 23. One day, she decided that she didn't want the MKZ anymore and insisted that her father buy her a new Jeep. For once in his life, her dad pushed back, because he had just retired and money was a bit tighter, and my former friend threw a complete fit that he would even think about suggesting a used Jeep, even though her Lincoln was less than a year old. One of the last times we hung out, she said to me, "Daddy won't buy me a Jeep and I'm really mad at him. I hate this car and I'm going to crash it, so he will have to buy me the Jeep I want." I slowly started drifting away at this point because I was dumbfounded, but lo and behold, 2 weeks later I saw an article in the paper and there was her MKZ, wrapped around a telephone pole. I saw her in the grocery store a while later and she got into a brand new Jeep. I graduated college, got a good tech job in a distant state, we bought a house and the first child came along. Which brought an older relative of my wife to see the baby. Our house came with an unused trash compactor sitting in the garage from a previous kitchen remodel. As soon as this lady saw it and realized we didn't care, she had to have it because we were family and family share. She'd never seen one before and wants it to help save the planet. She knew the perfect place for it in her kitchen. There was plenty of room in their car trunk if they just put all their luggage in the back seat for the 800-mile trip home. She had already measured it and knew it would fit the trunk. I was in shock. I was watching a 50-year-old have a tantrum. I worked in a fabric store and a customer made me stand there and discuss with her hired party planner exactly what fabrics to pick and what to do with them. After nearly 45 minutes of trying to help her match Pinterest pictures, I finished cutting her fabric and handed it to her with her slip. She asked me to put it in a basket, so I begrudgingly did since they were right beside the counter. I went to hand her the basket and she looked down extremely confused and told me to take it to the front checkout because she still had more shopping to do. I couldn't believe it. A girl I work with gets upset because her daddy took the nice BMW to work that day, so she has to drive the backup BMW. She gets to drive daddy's fancy cars every day without paying a cent for them. I work at a pet boarding place, and even though we have people there to take care of the animals on Christmas, we're close to check-in/outs. Girl comes in with her mom to pick up their dog a couple of days after Thanksgiving and we try to confirm their Christmas reservation. They had planned to drop the dog off early on the 24th and pick her up early on the 26th. Mom asks if they can pick up on Christmas. We tell her nope, we're closed. This was not okay with this girl. They were going out of state on Christmas Eve to see family and returning midday on Christmas, and she had Tio have her puppy on Christmas. Mom tries to reason with her, pointing out that if they leave the dog home she'll be alone from early Christmas Eve until Christmas Day. Girl doesn't care, wants her puppy there waiting when she gets home on Christmas. She starts bawling her eyes out in the middle of our lobby, and when her mother tries to comfort her she literally hits her. She's shoving her mom around and crying. Oh, and she's 22 years old. They cancelled the reservation. My friend told me in passing about his 14-year-old sister, who doesn't know how to use a microwave. Apparently, she has also never done chores, all requests have been duly ignored. Had a dinner past 5 p.m. sharp, and if no one is at home to cook, someone must get her takeaway. Cooked, not even poured hot water into a cup noodle. Interacted with many people outside her own race, which is pretty ridiculous considering that our country is very multicultural. She cannot speak any of the common languages, including English, to save her life. Eaten food cold, either fresh takeaway or freshly cooked. Gone to bed later than 10 p.m., it's a good thing, but try to keep that up when you're a struggling college student. It doesn't help that my friend's mother and grandfather have done nothing but enable such behavior. But, if we put her in an apartment with every amenity required and food in the fridge, she would quite literally starve to death because she can't even order pizza over the phone. She needs help. There was a girl I knew in college, sorority sister of my girlfriend at the time, who has been dating a guy since high school, who attended another university in town. They were likely to get engaged when they graduated college, and she stated that she was demanding a 2+ carat ring, even if it meant her father had to pay for part of it. Her future husband was going to be an engineer and came from middle-class family, so such a ring would be an exorbitant expense. She came from money, as her father was some bigwig doctor in Miami.